Alrighty, welcome to the 150th edition of the MMA Circus here on BloodyElbow.com and live on YouTube. My name is Nick Baldwin. He is Andrew the Clown Kid Lawrence, and as always, we are your host for today. Andrew, it hasn't been 2 weeks. I cannot believe it, but you have made it 2 in a row. This is unbelievable, and what a way to celebrate the big ol' 150.
You know, this is when they say a UFC fighter's on a win streak and he's actually just on a 2-fight win streak. You know, that's the standard we're at right now. It's like, did you make 2 in a row? Andrew, you're on a streak, baby. Let's keep the positive momentum rolling.
Yeah, it's like that, but it's also like when the UFC is having a terrible start to 2018, and it's like, hey, we got John Dodson versus Pedro Munoz booked for UFC 222. That helps the card a lot. Yay, yes. You know, the pay-per-view card's all of a sudden great, and no, it's still terrible, but UFC's terrible now, so.
I love where that tangent went. It went kind of all over the place, but
I'm just saying low expectations. I have low expectations
it's all
right
about
now
low
for
expectations.
UFC and for you for showing up to the show.
Well, yeah, but you know, when I'm here, it's the show's kind of made. When
you're here, I have high expectations, but it all comes down to, do you show up?
Will I show up? It's really in God's hands. As the great Fedor would say, it's God's will.
It is God's will indeed. Do we want to talk about anything before MMA or before what's been happening in the MMA sphere? You know, weather, anything?
It was cold today, unseasonably. You know, I got used to the idea that spring was here, and today it was 30 degrees. 33 to be precise. 33.
So that's like just over freezing.
That's like 1. Yeah, that's like 1 Celsius. Maybe a half.
So that's cold for Brooklyn in February?
Right now, yeah, it'd been so nice. On Thursday, it's going to be 61 degrees.
Wow, that's hot almost.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. 61 degrees is like, you know, a nice spring day, in my opinion.
A nice spring day. Or a blazing hot summer in Winnipeg.
It doesn't really never go over like 16, 17 degrees in Winnipeg.
No, it actually gets really hot. Like, that's the thing with Winnipeg. People don't realize. People just think it's cold year round, but we have a huge swing. Like, what is okay? I got to get out the weather converter.
I know I'm off the top of the dome by now. Hit me. What? You give me the Celsius, I'll tell you the Fahrenheit.
We can get up to, like, the hottest it is usually in Winnipeg. I mean, it doesn't happen all that often, but we can get up to like 104.
Oh, 104 degrees Fahrenheit. Wow. Yeah, that's like a really hot day in the middle of the summer, you know?
It is. And so we have that big swing. So I guess you get a little bit of everything. Like, you get a cool spring day, you get a hot summer day, you get a cloudy, chilly summer day, you get a terrible winter.
And an 8-month winter.
Yeah. Live here if you like the winter, but if you want 2 weeks of hot weather, Winnipeg's the place for you.
Listen, it's just like living in New England. I grew up in New England. Similar thing. You get all 4 seasons, but winter's just a little longer. But you guys' winter's especially brutal. Let's be real. Let's not cover the lead. What was the weather like today? What temperature was it outside?
I barely remember. It was okay today.
Are you in the minuses today?
Oh yeah. We're if we were, then I would say, oh, it was a beautiful day outside today.
We had a really nice day. It was 2 degrees. Yeah.
Okay, so right now it is, the wind chill is only
minus 10.
It's only Fahrenheit. It's only 6.8, so it's actually okay right now.
Hold on, 6.8 degrees Celsius right now?
Fahrenheit.
Oh, 6.8 degrees Fahrenheit. Which is like brutally, terribly cold, by the way. That is like so bad. That is like you walk outside and you're like, fuck, man, I can't believe I forgot my mittens.
Well, just like the UFC, just like you showing up, my expectations are low for the temperatures here in Winnipeg in January, February-ish. And so I think we should just like nickname episode 150 of the MMA Circus Low Expectations.
Low expectations. You're learning the secret of life, young Nicholas. You know, keep your expectations low and your happiness will only increase.
Liam Hughes, a week or 2 ago, no, 2 weeks ago, he was trying poutine for the first time. He lives in the UK. So Liam, I want you to drop in the chat. Let us know how that went. I see you said it was fake poutine. They just used regular cheese and not cheese curds. That's disappointing. But how was it overall? Speaking of low expectations, that is
also lower your poutine expectations, because if you're going to go in there thinking poutine's going to be the greatest thing in the world, it's not going to be that good. But if you just go in there with no expectations, it surprises the hell out of you.
I had such a great segue underway, and then you ruined it with more poutine talk. Let me try that again. Speaking of low expectations, that's what everybody went into UFC 221 in Perth, Australia this past weekend with, and did it work? We went in with low expectations. It wasn't a pay-per-view worthy card. I'm embarrassed to say I ended up dishing out $65. Not me personally, but my family, my household. What did you think about the card? Did you like it? Did you enjoy it? There were some entertaining fights. I'm not gonna lie.
Man, I had a hella good time, man. I had a fucking good old time. I mean, what was kind of cool about the fight was that the spots that we thought might be cool and might deliver us a fun, awesome fight kind of did, and that was the best part. You know, the prelims, like I'm always saying, guys, you know, get active during the prelims. You don't have to watch every fucking second, and definitely don't watch the filler bullshit that goes on in between the fights. You know, when the rounds are happening, be engaged, but if the fight's kind of getting boring, you know, kind of check yourself out. I think the what was the fight that I really checked out of? I was just like, oh god, I'm over this fight.
All of the Fight Pass early prelims.
Fight Pass early prelims, but I was actually interested in Teruto and Keone until a point, and then it got a little boring in the middle of it. I was interested going in it. I know both of those guys. You know, I'm aware of both of their stories, so that could be fun. But the real fight that like bored the shit out of me middle of the night, like, you know, just hit me with some deep malaise, was actually Maestro Kim against Damian Brown, which seemed like a really fun fight. But the things that delivered that we knew were going to deliver, you know, Juicy Formiga against Ben 10, lots of fun. Izzy Adesanya, lots of fun. Tyson Pedro, huge submission early in the first round.
And
the Jake Matthews Li Jinglang fight was actually really entertaining. And then the main event, of course.
The Soldier of God himself.
Come on, baby. Yoel Romero doing it big dog style. Third round knockout, just like he loves doing. And God, how brutal was that knockout, dude?
That follow-up shot, that like uppercut from hell, that might be one of the like most brutal shots we've ever seen. Like,
if you wanted to make a case
where Francis Ngannou, you know, knocked Alistair Overeem's head off, but that was unbelievable.
Oh yeah, if you wanted to make a case to make MMA illegal again, I think the first piece of evidence in your argument,
Romero, yeah,
dude, uppercutting a clearly dazed and confused, honest ass Luke Rockhold. God, that was kind of awesome though, right? Like when it happened, my wife came home late, and I didn't buy this one. I got it through other means. So my wife was like, can I get the TV? And I was like, fine, whatever. Like, yeah, take the TV. I just try to get her to yell at me as little as possible. So I'm watching on the laptop with the headphones on. When Yoel hits him with that, you know, first just staggers him. I just start screaming like a madman. I'm yelling like, woo! And she's like, what is wrong? Are you okay? And I'm like, yeah, everything's fine. Yoel Romero, the Soldier of God, just knocked Luke Rockhold the fuck out. And she's like, why would I even care about that? And I'm like, well, Luke Rockhold's kind of an asshole. And then she was just like, oh, well, then I'm glad. So it was a good night all around in the Lawrence household, you know? My favorite fighter won. And
your wife is now an MMA fan.
Well, at least she's a Luke Rockhold hater. So win-win on both accounts.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it was a... I don't know. Like, I feel like it was a great night for the fans, but Yoel Romero knocking out Luke Rockhold after missing weight the Friday before didn't help the UFC, because now the middleweight division is kind of up in air, as it has been the past couple of years.
No, Yoel versus Whitaker in the rematch. Come on, this is easy.
Yes, I agree, but there's a debate to be had that shouldn't happen because he missed weight, and because I know I've seen some arguments. Hey, he missed weight by 2 pounds. Why celebrate that by giving him a title shot? No, I don't agree with that wholeheartedly.
Those people are fucking stupid. And it's not a
debate.
But
all I'm saying is that if Rockhold
a debate would be like
Romero,
a debate would be, hey, should be the opponent. This is another opponent that should fight for the title instead of Yoel Romero. Who is a better case than Yoel? Nobody.
I feel like though if Rockhold had won, and this isn't debatable, if Rockhold had won, it'd be a lot more clear because he would have the interim title, he
Yeah.
would be the rightful next title challenger, and all would be good. He didn't miss weight. Now there's that controversy: do you give Romero the title shot? Do you not?
There's no controversy.
I think he should. No, there is because he missed weight. Some people are saying it. You can't just deny the fact that some people think.
Yeah, okay. And there's a bunch of stupid people walking around here saying that, like, you know, lizard people are controlling the United States government. Do I have to acknowledge them as like a good opinion? No. Just because people have opinions doesn't mean I have to listen to them. It's a dumb opinion. It's a stupid fucking opinion. Congratulations. Oh, he missed weight. Shut your stupid fucking mouth, man. It's the dumbest thing I ever heard. Like, okay, and that's how you can tell it's a dumb argument when you ask them, okay, if not Yoel, then whom? And they don't have an answer. That's how you can tell it's a stupid debate that you're having, right? A real debate would be like, I say that this person should get the title shot because of boom. Now, like, I don't know, like, feel like Kelvin Gastelum needs one more win. I feel like Chris Weidman needs one more win.
Dockery, Weidman, Gastelum are all there. They all need one more win. They're only on a one-fight winning streak.
Exactly. So have a couple of them fight each other. Whoever wants to fucking mess around. I think you just don't want to make that Kelvin Gastelum, Chris Weidman matchup again. It was a fun fight, but it was just a little too soon.
Weidman and then to make.
Oh yeah, right. That's just like a clear.
I don't know what you do with Gastelum after that, but
tell Gastelum to cut that fucking weight to 170 and give him the immediate title shot against Tyron Woodley. He's the most interesting challenger for Woodley, in my opinion, and I would give it to him without making him take one more 170 fight, or just let him fight one more 170 fight and steamroll some kid. Come on, man, let's fucking have fun.
Yeah. In the co-main event, we had Curtis Blaydes defeat Mark Hunt by unanimous decision. A close round in the first round. Mark Hunt rocked him on the feet. Blaydes followed it up with a bit of damage on the ground to take down. So it was a pretty even first round, but the 2 and 3 were pretty one-sided in favor of Curtis Blaydes. You know, a lot of people complain about this performance. I mean, not really the media, but more so fans that just want to see slobber knockers. They didn't enjoy the fight, but Curtis Blaydes did what he had to do, and ultimately it was a pretty impressive performance. Even though Mark Hunt, I think his whole takedown defense is a little overblown, that Mark Hunt can defend takedowns against a good wrestler like Blaydes. I'm not surprised by the result of this fight, but I think this sort of reassured me that Curtis Blaydes is a legit heavyweight contender now.
Yeah, he definitely is. You know, his striking still has something to be desired, and I think that he's going to falter against, you know, the top. Well, I guess what are you going to say? The top 2, the top 3 in the heavyweight division. God, it's so sparse up there. But you know, he's a young fighter and he's growing into his own. I think you know, like you said, you can't begrudge him it. But again, at the same time, I don't have to celebrate it either. It was boring. It wasn't entertaining to watch. And I kind of was checking out towards the end of the third round. Check that. I was checking out at the beginning of the third round. As soon as he got that takedown, I was basically like, oh, I'm tired of this. I scored the first round for Mark Hunt clearly because fights should be scored on damage. And Curtis Blaydes, you know, he didn't do nothing with top control. He definitely landed a lot of ground and pounds and, you know, was pretty brutal with stuff. But, you know, just wasn't enough volume, and maybe it had something to do with the fact that I really like Mark Hunt a lot, so I wanted to see him get this KO, and he was so close in that first round. He had Blaydes on all kinds of ice skates. So, you know, all right fight. I'm not gonna, you know, bitch and moan too much about Curtis Blaydes and what he decided to do. I understand where it's coming from, and I've been around this MMA game too goddamn long to be upset that someone took Mark Hunt down. Come on, that's a clear path to victory that you can't ignore. So. Hats off to Curtis Blaydes, but, you know, I'm still not quite sold on the title contender, Curtis Blaydes.
I think a perfect matchup for Blaydes is the winner of Tybura versus Derek Lewis.
I think that could be fun. Yeah, sure, why not? But I would like to see him fight a name besides, you know, I know Mark Hunt's a big name, but like...
Derek Lewis is a name.
Yeah, Derek Lewis is a name at this point. You're right. Nycin Tybura, not so much.
No.
And that'll be an interesting fight between those two, too. So maybe someone will emerge as like a bigger star there. I don't know. I was thinking, but you're right. All those like old fading names are kind of on the way out. Like, or they're, you know, too recently knocked out. I don't want to see Alistair Overeem get another concussion. I don't know.
The only other option would be the winner of Verdum versus Volkov.
Yeah, sure. That's actually that makes a lot of sense. Unless it's Volkan. But come on. Come on. Come on, Nicholas. That ain't happening.
What else stood out to us on this card? Ty Dillashaw looked fantastic, drinking beer out of shoe afterwards. That's great. Tyson Pedro.
Yo, that's how you make a name for yourself right there. In another heavyweight, battle, that guy's building himself. Undefeated, 9-0. He's got a country behind his back. He's chugging beer out of a shoe. It was a fun KO. Come on, man. That's good times.
He has a great personality, and he seems to be a good fighter. I think he could work on his mic work a little bit. That post-fight interview was a little awkward, honestly.
It was a lot awkward, but, heavyweights, man. These guys aren't fucking Rhodes Scholars out there. They're goddamn pugilists. They got dementia and shit. Come on.
That submission, that Kimura from Tyson Pedro, that was a tremendous submission, I thought. That was really slick the way he set that up on the ground.
Dude, I felt like I turned my head from my TV screen for like 15 seconds, and that went from like, setting up a Kimura to like cranked deathly. So I was impressed as fuck. Another division that could use more people in it. He's a young fighter. I think he's got like 8 fights, something like that. I can't remember if he's lost any of them. So he's another guy who's got actually a really good personality. Maybe it was just something in the air that night for Aussies, but he shined through in the show. We skipped over Jake Matthews beating the Leech because, kind of went to decision, but I thought Jake Matthews emerged as like a different fighter. He looked
better than ever, I thought.
Well, he looked not just better than ever, like in that he took like one little step forward as a progressing fighter. He took that big step forward to and change my opinion of what he could do as a fighter. I don't really view him as like a middling prospect anymore. So I could see him fighting. Well, it's 170 pounds, so it gets like deep really quickly. So I don't want to say like top 15 guys, but he's almost on like that range that you got to start thinking about facing him against top 25, top 15. I don't know where you would rank Jake Matthews in like a global ranking right now today. I mean, he did lose to guys like Hot Sauce Holbrook. I think that was last year, for Christ's sake. But, he's in that discussion. He's like, he's
I don't
top
think
50.
It's Hot Sauce Holbrook, but...
What's Andrew Holbrook's nickname?
You're thinking of Sam Hot Sauce Holtzman.
Shit, I am. What's Andrew Holbrook's nickname?
I don't know.
Well, Andrew Holbrook, tossing out there a lot of hot sauces, but you could be another one.
He sure could. Three other things I want to really quick touch on, and you sort of just spitball afterwards. I thought Israel Adesanya looked fantastic. In the middleweight division, he has a ton of potential. He's still young enough. He doesn't have it's not like as we're going back to this time and time again, he doesn't have that wear on his tires. He still has a lot of tread on there. This guy can be a star in the division, but the UFC, don't throw him against someone like Paulo Costa tomorrow. That would be a terrible move. Don't give him a top guy yet, not even close. Give him at least a year of destroying nobodies, and then you start pushing him to fight a top guy. Don't do it right away.
Yes, Nicholas, build the highlight reel. Go the Scott Coker track. The problem with the MVP train wasn't in any of the approach. The problem with the MVP, and everyone knows I'm talking about Michael Venom Page here and how they've just made him crush cans forever. There's nothing wrong with that. The problem with that was that when it was time to flick the switch and make him fight real fighters, they didn't do it. So that's smart, and I'd really like to see 18 months, have him fight a lot. Like I'm saying, have him fight every 2 to 3 months, crushing dudes. So we have highlight reels, awesome KOs, wonderful stuff. Don't have him fight wrestlers. Allow me to repeat myself. Do not let this guy fight wrestlers until we have like a year under our belts. Let him learn and focus solely on the MMA game and and build himself up. God, I think the dude. I think Israel Adesanya's like 27. He might be 26.
He's 28, I think.
Okay, whatever. He's really fucking young. We can afford a year more of developmental until he's like 29, ready to take on fucking lions. And God, 85, I think he could actually do something. The game rapidly changes, MMA in general. So new techniques are always flying in, and certain styles just fall by the waysides. So That's still a big question mark if he could be relevant, a year and a half from now, but I think he could. And God, his personality on the mic just shines through. Some people just fucking get it, and this dude fucking gets it.
And he's not cocky either. He's not like Conor McGregor, and he won't end up, fighting Floyd Mayweather, then going off. And I don't think, anything could happen, but I don't see necessarily him running off into the sunset with pockets of cash.
Nick, let me tell you this. If any fighter was offered that opportunity to fight Floyd Mayweather, lose, make $100 million, and ride off into the sunset, without a doubt, 100% of the UFC roster takes that opportunity.
Oh, of course. But what I'm saying is I don't view him as the next Conor McGregor.
No, he's for the hardcores. He's for us.
I think so too.
Yeah. Yeah, that is for us.
Alexander Volkanovski picked up the most impressive win of his UFC career. He defeated Jeremy Kennedy by late second round TKO. This was a performance Volkanovski needed. I was critical a little bit of his past two wins. They were very dominant, but against two middling fighters competition, I felt like he could have gotten stoppages in both those fights against Shane Young and Hirota. He didn't. 30-27 decision, 30-26, it was all great, but I think he needed a stoppage, and I think he passed that test with flying colors. And let's be honest, I'm not confident picking anybody, maybe except for a couple featherweights, against Volkanovski. This guy is really legit.
I don't know. He's got to fight someone actually legit before him.
Jeremy Kennedy's 11-0, and that wasn't a padded record. He had 3 UFC wins. Kennedy is a good fighter himself.
3 UFC wins. Alex Ricci, Honey Jason, Kyle Bochniak. So no, I'm not impressed. So sorry. No, I'm going to need a little bit more than beating up Jamie Kennedy to say that you're ready to take on anyone at 145 pounds. A lot of people will ether dear old Alexander Volkanovski.
Last one, Juicy Formiga defeated Ben Wen by 3rd round rear naked choke. Firstly, on the stoppage, really impressive finish. I mean, he rocked Wen with a kick late in the round, and then, man, that back take. I mean, once again, Juicy Formiga proves why he is a huge threat on the ground, and more particularly, a huge threat on your back. He takes the back so quickly, and the guy's really impressive. And now on a 2-fight winning streak, if you want to call it a winning streak, give this guy Demetrius Johnson. He's not going to win. It's not going to work out, but he deserves it. He's been that number one gatekeeper at flyweight for so long. He's deserved a title shot before. Now is the time, with no clearer opponent for DJ, if they don't do the TJ Dillashaw fight.
Okay, that's a huge if, because that is what they're going to do. So he's going to need a fight in between. That's 100% what's happening. Everyone's on board with it, dude. You got to learn to read the signs if you're going to be in media more. This is what's happening. They're going to make that fight happen. They're going to do it for July during International Fight Week. So Juicy Formiga is going to need a fight to hold him over. He wins that fight, sure. Have him fight DJ again. I don't know.
Not again. He hasn't fought DJ.
Yeah, let him fight DJ. I'm really curious about what's going on with or what will happen with the DJ TJ thing. Just because I feel like that cut's going to be so brutal, maybe TJ will end up losing that fight. And then it's just a weird fight for so many reasons to predict. So I'm imagining that DJ, either because the fight doesn't end up being for a title fight or because DJ actually wins it, that he'll maintain and continue to be the 125-pound champion. So, Juicy Formiga can line up right after TJ.
Yeah, all right. I mean, if they do TJ, absolutely, I agree, but I'm not confident they do. I know they want it. I know it seems like it should happen, but something inside me, like a funny feeling, I'm not confident TJ does go as planned this summer, but we will have to wait and see.
You should ignore those funny feelings. They're bad instincts.
Fair enough. Maybe that's why my prediction record for 2018 in the UFC is so terrible already.
Yep. I'm almost at 70%, baby.
I think I might. No, I'm probably above 50, but not by too much.
Hey, real quick, guys, everyone, check out. I've been posting on Tapology.com. I really like the guys at Tapology, and Sherdog is officially dead to me. all those pop-up ads have made SureDog an inoperable website. So everyone out in the MMA fandom world, start using Tapology.com. Let's get them to the front page of Google. They have an awesome thing where you can predict all the UFC fights. God, you can predict all of the fights that happen in MMA, period. They only penalize you or only record the fights that you actually make predictions for. You can make forum posts. So I'm going to write a forum post for every single fight that happens in the UFC this year, and I'm going to predict every one of them. You can follow me or friend me on there or whatever the hell the whole thing is. I'm on there. I'm the clown kid. Shocker.
All right. That is it for UFC 221. It was a good show.
Ross Pearson made me money. Don't forget about Ross Pearson. Shout out Ross Pearson for all the dough. Appreciate it. My wife's birthday's this week, and she's going to appreciate the new boots.
You got back into winning column, but by no means was it too impressive. So
it was not impressive, but I'll take the cash. This is me, Salt Bang.
Let's talk a little Project Spearhead. I assume you have heard about this.
I love the name of it. It's like projects. It sounds like you and I are about to invade Iraq.
I wonder how Leslie Smith and Lucas Middlebrook came up with it. I don't know.
Oh, you know what? That's I wasn't quite aware that Lucas Middlebrook was so involved in it. You know, Lucas Middlebrook is famous for, right?
Nick Diaz, yes.
Of course, he's the only person maybe in the world who could call Nick Diaz on the phone and get him to answer.
And he still probably can't succeed 100% of the time.
No, I bet you even Lucas has to jump through some hurdles, man.
So what Project Spearhead is, it was launched last Friday, so if anybody has not heard about it, I suggest go read about it a little bit. It is the latest effort to unionize UFC fighters. We've seen other efforts, other associations in the past. We've seen the MMAAA, we've seen the PFA. They've both fizzled. They've gone away. There are nowhere to be seen as far as trying to unionize UFC fighters. But this one, to me, seems a little more promising. So it is Leslie Smith as the interim president on the executive board, and just
Which
recently,
I think is hugely important.
Because she's an active fighter, UFC fighter,
an active UFC fighter. All three of those things: active, UFC, and fighter.
That's actually an interesting way to put it. Cajun Johnston is the new interim vice president on the executive board. This was just announced recently, like within the past 48 hours. He just found out about it and hit them up right away, and there he is, officially a part of the Project Spearhead. So what they're trying to do, it is the latest effort to organize and unionize UFC fighters. First, they have already put out authorization cards that UFC fighters can go and sign and submit. It is fully confidential, so the UFC will not know that said fighters have supported the supported Project Spearhead. So that's a big thing. That is one reason why there is a better chance Project Spearhead will succeed opposed to other organizations. Everything's confidential, whereas if you want to be involved in the MMA-AFA, oftentimes your face is sort of out there. So I think that
kind of just had they had a weird press conference, and then it all kind of fizzled out. Essentially, all they need, and don't quote me on the technicals of it because I'm sure there's better sources for it. Is they need enough people to sign a union card, right? I think it's
30% of UFC fighters.
Yeah, exactly, and then you actually have a formed union. I was about to say I don't even think it's 50%. So. I think that it's highly possible. It's very weird because a lot of the fighters have deep Republican kind of values kind of run through our sport, which are very anti-union. But I think they're looking at other sports and realizing just how much those other sports rely on their unions to get them paid. And you're talking about a giant TV contract being negotiated and probably announced what the partnership will be sometime in the next few months, and the fighters are going to be left out of all of that money in a real substantive way. I think the best estimates we got were that the UFC was paying fighters about 16% of revenue. I've seen estimates as high as 18. I've seen estimates as low as 8. But I kind of look to kind of shoot the middle of that. I bet 12 to 14 is probably pretty accurate. When really most sports leagues are running at 50. Now the UFC is structured differently and they take on all the production costs and they have TV people. So maybe it ends up being a 60-40 split. It ends up being more equitable and it makes more sense for the league. for the league, for the promotion. Jesus Christ, this isn't the NBA. But anyway, that would genuinely mean for every single fighter a doubling of their pay, which is an insane thing to think about. And it's really these middle fighters, not so much the prelim guys who really don't bring in an audience. Like, honestly, there's a lot of people fighting in Fight Pass prelims who are making 12 and 12, and that 12 and 12 is much more money than like the interest being generated by their presence in the fight, right? But there's a lot of guys in like the middle of the cards that like have a name and have an attractive value and are part of the UFC and part of the fabric of the UFC that fighters just like expect. I'm talking about guys like, I don't know, Thiago Alves, guys like James Vicks, Sage Northcutt's. I'm looking at the next card, but Sage Northcutt's probably overpaid for what I don't know. He's pretty spot on. But guys like that, they deserve a lot more money than what they're truly getting. So, I really feel like this union's a great chance for them to finally get what they want. Am I hopeful for it? I hope that they work it out, because Lucas and Leslie are two people that I admire personally, and I think are people of like decent moral standing who will actually do right by the fighters. So I hope that they succeed, but I'm still precautiously. I guess I'm not cautiously optimistic. I'm realistically pessimistic about the whole thing, just because I know the attitude of fighters, and I wonder if they've gotten smart enough to figure this out yet.
It's just hard not to be, because this has happened before. But I think the big difference, or one of the differences, is that fighters can go sign these authorization cards now. I don't think that's ever been an option. I think when the MMA AA was announced, it was sort of just, okay, we're doing this. Now what? Fighters can go in and submit their cards. For the PFA, it was still okay.
Yeah, Bjorn Revenue was a kiss of death. It was terrible. That was not a good thing.
And so here they're starting on the right foot by saying, "Hey, go sign these authorization cards if you're a UFC fighter." And I can't see why UFC fighters wouldn't. I mean, even though you mentioned how maybe their beliefs is that it's anti-union, but I mean, I just considering they're underpaid, considering they're treated like employees, even though they're independent contractors, I just can't see 30% of UFC fighters not signing these authorization cards. So I think I think this will go farther at the very least than other efforts in the past.
Yeah, but unfortunately,
but we won't know till it happens.
Prepare yourself for disappointment, my good man. Welcome to the adult world. It's constantly disappointing. Donald Trump became our president, good man.
and before forming a union, they need to determine from the National Labor's Relation Board, are we independent contractors or are we employees? That is the first step. That is, once they get 30% of the UFC roster on board, they will go to the NLRB, and the NLRB will determine that. And then if they are deemed employees, then they are eligible to create a union, and then they move on to step 2. So that's just sort of the gist of
that's why having Lucas Middlebrook be kind of like the legal like heartbeat at the soul of this union is so essential. I think he was involved in which one, the PFA earlier, and then left because he had issues with the other person involved in it, the guy from baseball. Yep. Excuse me, I don't remember his name.
It doesn't matter.
But Lucas has a real serious background in labor groups relations, in employment, in sports law. He understands it in a true, genuine way, the legal side of it. He doesn't talk in abstracts. He actually knows he does this for a living. He's very well versed in it. He's passionate about getting fighters what they deserve. He's probably going to end up, going down as one of like the unsung heroes of MMA if he's able to, in his lifetime, somehow get these fighters kind of what they deserve.
The unsung hero of MMA, and Nick Diaz.
And Nick Diaz, man. I think Lucas Middlebrook, remember when War was a thing, the Nick Diaz fighting promotion?
No, I don't.
Okay, I think they held like 2 events. I bet you those 2 events, helping run those, probably aged Lucas at least a decade.
Probably. Again, still don't know what you're talking about, but Nick Diaz hosting a promotion sounds like
Think about how little
a boatload of work if you
exactly.
were his assistant.
Yeah, don't be. Yeah, imagine just being Nick Diaz's attorney. I bet you get bizarre phone calls a lot.
Yeah, you would.
Well,
You would
like,
get a call from the Nevada Commission saying, "Hey, we're trying to suspend your fighter for 5 years for marijuana. What are your thoughts?"
yeah, right. Or he gets a DUI in California, and you're like, "I'm on the other side of the country, Nick. We need to call a local attorney to bail you out. I can't fly across the country to bail you out of jail."
Yeah. Well, anything else you want to say about this effort? Leslie Smith, Cajun Johnson, Lucas Middlebrook, Spearhead,
Hey man,
or shall we move on?
only that I'm a huge Leslie Smith mark. I've probably told 1,000 stories about Leslie Smith on this, and it's always the same story. I met her outside of a World Series of Fighting show. She was cool as shit. Like, genuinely, I just like stopped and be like, "Yo, Leslie Smith, you're cool," and she just like stopped and had a conversation with me for like a solid 10 minutes. She was there to support Jake Shields when he got eye gouged to death by Usman Paul Harris. But like, genuinely, a cool person. When you talk to someone for the first time, you sometimes can like catch a vibe off them. I caught a vibe of her being just like chill as fuck, and it was great. So she got balls of steel. I really, my hats are off to her, or my hat is off to her. I really hope that they can get it done. This is the first team of people looking to unionize that I've looked at and not been like, oh, that's the shady motherfucker who's going to ruin it for everybody. So let's be cautiously optimistic. I know I said I was realistically pessimistic, but I'm going to move to cautious optimism.
Real quick, my only concern, or one of my few concerns about this going far, is as we talked about earlier, Leslie Smith needs to be an active UFC fighter. That will be key to success. She has one fight left on her contract. That fight takes place April 21st in Atlantic City against Aspen Ladd. And she told me in an interview just an hour ago or so that she will not re-sign with the UFC for less than $100,000 to show with no win bonus. And I like Leslie Smith a lot. And if fighter pay was good, that's the amount of money she'd be making. But right now, she's not getting that deal.
Yeah.
And so this could be Leslie Smith's last UFC fight coming up in April. And maybe even her last MMA fight.
Even if her demands weren't 100K, that might just be, something that they do because they just want to send a message out there. Don't be starting unions, just cut her ass. Yeah, things like this get down and dirty. So if you don't think that the UFC is willing to completely sacrifice Leslie Smith to whomever they lose her to make a point about unions, then you don't know what you're talking about.
The only thing I want to add, and this is something I wasn't aware of until she told me just a bit ago, she actually has a bit of protection in her contract that says the UFC cannot release her or cut her because of the union stuff. And so that's actually really interesting.
That would make sense maybe because there's probably language inside of all kind of like fighter bouts that they have to put that. It's probably like legally required due to like certain commissions or maybe it's just standard contract language. That'd be something interesting to talk to Lucas about. You should interview Lucas.
I should. I should interview everybody from the association,
except for Cajun Johnson.
Why?
I'm just talking shit.
I interviewed Cajun Johnson a week ago.
I know.
I'm going to interview him tomorrow, and I'll tell him my co-host on the MMA Circus
was talking shit. Yeah, he's just talking shit about you, Cajun. What do you think about that?
All right.
I mean, God, yeah, you've interviewed Cajun Johnson like 6 times, I feel like.
Yeah, right around there, 6 or 7. UFC Fight Night 126, Austin, Texas. Donald Cowboy Cerrone, Yancy Medeiros, main event. Real quick, do you like the main event? I mean, to me, it's a fun fight. I'm kind of concerned about where Cowboy's at. 3 straight losses in 2017. Does he get back on track? I mean, I don't think that's a for sure thing.
It's definitely not for sure, but that's kind of what makes it fun. Like normally, if you were like, "Hey, Donald Cowboy Cerrone is gonna fight Yancy Medeiros," you'd be like, "Shut the fuck up and give me a fight that actually like makes any kind of sense." But with Yancy surging after that awesome fight against Cowboy Oliveira, and now he's got to fight the real Cowboy, it kind of makes some sort of weird, freaky sense. Rankings wise, it makes a hell of a lot of sense. I think you put them both kind of on that peripheral of the top 15. Donald might be holding on to like a 14 or something like that, but
11.
It should be lower. That's how much like I really concern myself with the UFC rankings. I'm like, yeah, dismissed instantly.
Medeiros is 15 too.
Oh, okay, good. So there's fun stuff happening. But you know what? It's interesting, and it's a compelling fight. You know, surging versus falling. I really still do favor Cowboy. I don't care how much he's regressed. I don't think he's regressed to the level of losing to Yancey. Let's not mistake anything. Yancey won that fight against Brazilian Cowboy because he gassed, and he broke his nose in the first round. So let's not forget. Let's give him some credit. And Yancey, other than that, has kind of always faltered. He's never really won.
Well, he's a middle of the road guy, a little above that.
No, just about that. Anytime he fought anyone big, he's kind of lost it. Lost against Massaranduba, lost against Dustin Poirier, lost against, I don't know, like Jimmy Miller. Lost against, I'm trying to pull all of them out of my brain. There's probably a couple there that I'm forgetting, but now we're getting back like 2-3 years. It's harder. I'm not following the kid Yancey Medeiros that much.
You're trying to convince the viewers that Yancey loses everybody, and you have to go to a fight from 2014. He lost to Jim Miller 4 years ago. I mean, the guy's not going far.
I'm never gonna forgive him for that, man. Never gonna forgive him for losing to Jimmy Miller. But like, who are his big wins against? I remember John McDessie, that being a controversial win. Beat up Eric Silva, but what the story is there. I can't even think of any others, And then Cowboy, Brazilian Cowboy. But I'm sure they're there. I just don't think that Cowboy's regressed enough to lose. And it's not like Yancey's going to take down Cowboy. It's going to be a stand-up affair. So unless Cowboy has no chin left over, I think he's going to win this one. Yeah, it's going to be fireworks. It's going to be fun action fighting. So I'm not complaining, man.
Yeah, I mean, I got to go Cowboy. But if Medeiros wins, I mean, if this was Cowboy a year ago today, I'm going Cowboy all day. Like, I'd be shocked if Medeiros had any success or even had won the fight. But now it's a lot closer and it's a lot more competitive. I think it will be competitive, but I think Cowboy walks away the winner. Maybe takes a decision in what could be fight of the night. What else do we want to mention?
On this card? Sucks?
What? That
Tanya Evinger was going to fight on this card and had that horrific injury. I'm not sure if she even released the details of what the injury was, but that took her off this card. I would have liked to see Tanya Evinger return to the UFC. That's too bad. I'm looking forward to James Vick against Massaranduba.
James Vick and Trinaldo, that's actually interesting too. Lewis and Tybura, we mentioned earlier.
Sage Northcutt is going to see if he can beat the Frenchman. Come on, man.
There's some good fights on this one.
Do you think Super Sage Northcutt beats, I don't know, Gouty?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but I'm not sure about that.
Super Sage Northcutt looked really improved in his last fight. Like, he
really
looked
did,
really
right?
good.
You really did. I gotta keep remembering that and not think of like the old Sage.
If it was the old Sage, I'm thinking, okay, he's gonna win, but like there's that chance because he can't defend takedowns. He's not good on the ground. He quit. Maybe let's argue.
I don't know. Sage Northcutt used to use wrestling sometimes to win. Remember those days? Like he took down Cody Pfister or Trevino or someone.
Yeah, I mean he's gonna win.
Cody Pfister. You're like, yeah, come on, man, it's Cody Pfister.
He's gonna beat Cody, or he's gonna beat T-Bot Goatee, and I'm pretty confident. I mean, I think he's gonna do good work against Goatee. But again, if that last performance hadn't happened, I'd still be picking him, but not as confident.
Yeah,
that's where I stand.
Who did he beat? He beat Quiones, right?
Maybe, sure.
Jesus, you're a journalist, for Christ's sake. Get it together, Nicholas.
Hey,
Pitbull's back.
You never either, and you're at middle easy.
Yeah, that's true. Thiago Alves is back.
He's fighting Curtis Blender, who is coming from LFA. I've heard good things about him, but I've also heard that Alves, probably should take this one.
Dude, I watched some highlight footage. Granted, I didn't watch the whole fights. This Curtis Millender kid is dangerous. I'm worried. I know that Alves beat Patrick Cote, but Cote, I'm I was shaky on him going into that fight too. And then before that, lost to Jim Miller, which means a lot in 2016, not so much maybe in 2013. And then lost to Carlos Condit by knockout. You know, and God, you know, just been nearly a year in between these fights too. I'm not sure if Pitbull should be fighting. How old is Pitbull now? He's probably only like 28. Like in fight years, he's 300. You know. No, he's got to be he's not 35. I'm exaggerating with 28, guys. Take it easy. But like, he got to be like 35, something like that.
He's coming off a win, and so I think he has what it takes to hang in there for at least another year.
Okay. Well, he's only fighting every year, so even if he loses this one, he can make it another year.
Yeah, he's not taking too much damage. He can at this rate, he can fight till 50.
Yo, but the prelims of this show, like the early prelims, are kind of like, you know, the land of the lost. There's just no one there. Josh Berkman's hanging around. I can't believe they're still giving him fights in the UFC. Jesus Christ.
That's not very good.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't love that.
Yeah.
Joby Sanchez. Okay, so I mean, there's really no one. There's really not much.
Jeff Neal, if we're talking prelims, Jeff Neal's one guy I'm excited to see. He was on Contender Series. He got like a pretty quick knockout.
Yeah, and he's fighting. He's Brian
Camozzi.
Yeah, I was gonna say Chris Camozzi's brother, but yeah, sure, you can actually call him by his real name. Who's about to get eliminated from the UFC? I think this Neal kid's probably gonna knock him the fuck out. Which would be good times, in my opinion. But they really just fed Brian Camozzi to the wolves. They signed him to the UFC. They're like, go get knocked out by Randy Brown, go get knocked out by Chad the Priest, and now here's some other up and coming guy from the Contender Series to get knocked out by.
I don't know why. I really love your use of the word eliminated for as in released, as if like the UFC is now the PFL. It's now a tournament.
You've been eliminated, good sir. Goodbye. Well, you know what it is? It really is like if you get cut by the UFC and start fighting, like after you've made it to the UFC and then you get cut, you get to like deleted from my brain of like fighters that I need to. There's only so much space, dude. It's so hard to remember all this shit sometimes. And people are like, you don't know what Alex Moreno's record is off the top of your head, Andrew Lawrence. You're not a real fucking MMA fan, bro. I know about Alex Moreno's fight, and I'm like, dog, who gives a fuck, man? You know how hard it is to remember. The roster's so big. There's fights all weekend. I'm smoking hefty duty bong rips over here. Everyone should be very much impressed with the data that I can store. So excuse me if I want to delete Brian Camozzi out of my brain once he gets cut from the UFC.
Fair enough. Fair enough. We have, as you mentioned, there is fights all the time, and we have a ton of combat sports this week. We have Bellator 194 on Friday. We have a bunch of local stuff, but fun local stuff Friday, Saturday, and then this UFC is on Sunday. EBI, if you're into grappling, is on Fight Pass on Saturday. Jose Torres fights at Titan FC, the flyweight and bantamweight champion. This might be his last non-UFC fight. Greg Hardy, if you're into that sort of thing, he's fighting at LFA in his third amateur fight.
Oh, I will write an article about that.
Use quotes from my interview with him, please.
Oh, did you interviewed Greg Hardy?
The one and only.
No fucking way. Was he creepy and kind of a douchebag?
He was nice.
Stop
nice.
And be real with me, Nicholas. Who cares about your access? He ain't gonna listen to this shit. Tell me the truth. Was Greg Hardy a douchebag?
No, go listen to the interview.
Did you have to go through his agent? You definitely did.
I went through his boxing coach.
Oh, look at you. Crafty little man over there. Cool. You know, I don't know. Greg Hardy, everyone wants to like hate on the guy terribly. He is a piece of human shit, but like this is MMA fighting. Like we've let pieces of human shit in all the time. Everyone loves Stone Cold Steve Austin, but he beat the shit out of like 3 of his wives. And no one gave a shit about that in wrestling. But all of a sudden, everyone wants to be like, Greg Hardy's not allowed to fight. Come on, you fucking moralist pieces of shit. There ain't no rules in this.
Yeah,
it's just funny. People doing crazy shit. Enjoy it.
I'm just trying to see what else we have as far as local MMA because there's so much going on. Albert Tumanov. I know we disagreed on Einstein off the air before we started,
we didn't disagree so much. We both agree that he is the GOAT,
and you said he's not the GOAT. So
yeah, like how could you ever call him the GOAT? That is to me a bridge too far. Do you know what I mean? Come on, let's be honest with ourselves a little bit and recognize that they're under no normal metric is Albert Tumanov the GOAT. I mean, he's lost to Gunnar Nelson.
He's my favorite Einstein. He's the GOAT of all Einsteins.
I wouldn't even go that far.
Yeah,
but you know, the number one source, if you're ever looking for like everything that's happening inside the world of combat sports, the website is grabakahitman.wordpress.com. It of
what
course
I'm on right now.
So it is 100% run by the legend himself, Kaposa at Grabaka Hitman on Twitter. If you don't know him, get the fuck off this show because you ain't hardcore enough. He writes out and lists typically every week. He hardly ever misses a week, and just tells you everything that's happening from from Muay Thai fights that are happening in Thailand, which seems to be like 2 or 3 shows every week. It's Thailand, for Christ's sake.
I don't know how the hell Kaposa does that. Like, how does he do it?
Well, I don't think he watches all these fights.
No, of course, but like even still, like the time it would take to like find all these cards and compile them.
I don't know. He just finds the main, the biggest card, the image, and then copy, cuts, and pastes some listing. I bet he has people that he goes to for sources. He probably has like a boy who lets him know about all the Muay Thai fights, or knows a website that he could translate. He's just a really good interneter. You know what I mean? He's a great pirate. I've always, hey, Grabaka Hitman, if you ever listen to this show, come hang out for UFC Brooklyn, man. We're gonna have the big throwdown. I'll let the viewers of this show know a little early. We're trying to pull together a little art show, including this will be a Middle Easy meetup for MMA media and fans, featuring an art gallery display by Chris Rennie, legendary MMA artist Chris Rennie, the photography of one Esther Lynn, and the beautiful hosting of your boy Andrew the Clown Kid Lawrence. We're gonna get together anybody who's around for UFC Brooklyn. Bar to be determined, but we're gonna hang out. You can go check out our 2 artists' awesome work. You can meet other cool UFC fans. We're gonna do it directly after the weigh-ins, and have a good old time, man.
Sounds like a good time. I wish I was gonna be in Brooklyn during that card.
Yeah, you should get Bloody Elbow to pony up that cash. That travel though.
I don't think Bloody Elbow gets credentials.
You guys could, I imagine.
Well,
or maybe you guys have fucked around too much and published too many articles about the UFC's financials.
That's you're kind of headed in the right direction.
You know what? I think I gotta apply for credentials. Let me talk to my editor right now.
Most
journalistic integrity.
Yeah, exactly.
We're the most integral journalists in all of MMA.
Is integral a word? Huh? I don't think so. Integral? No.
Integral's a word. It just doesn't mean full of integrity.
Okay. I wonder what the adjective would be for like integrity.
That's a good point.
MiddleEasy.com.
Yeah, it is just MiddleEasy.com.
I am going to hopefully go to Stipe DC credentialed.
Hey, look at you.
5 days after my 18th birthday. I won't be eligible until 5 days before that card.
Well, they owe you too, so.
Yeah, they do. They do, for sure. Okay, Bellator 194 real quick. Matt Mitrione, Roy Nelson, number 2. We have Derek Campos versus Patricky Pitbull.
Are you kind of excited?
Yeah.
I'm kind of excited too. I have no clue why, but it seems like I am.
I feel like Mitrione Nelson won't be great, but Campos Patricky is a fun fight.
I like Matt Mitrione. I don't know why, but like I've enjoyed watching him fight like for most of, if not all of his career that I've seen. So like, by the way, the adjective form of integrity, integrous.
I'm going to use that in pretty much all of my articles now.
That'll be the little Easter egg for all the hardcore MMA Circus fans out there.
0.
Oh no, we got a couple. Don't doubt it. Don't doubt it.
We do. Okay, let's go. So I'm picking Mitrione. I'm picking Patricky.
Yeah, I like both. I'm with it. I like those. Okay. Liam McGeary's coming back, fighting some dude I've never heard of.
No, Vadim No, this guy fought in Ryzen before. Vadim Nemkov. He fought on like the first Ryzen. I think he was in the Grand Prix tournament, the first one.
Did he get knocked out
No,
early? Damn, I don't know. I'm slacking then. I deleted him from the brain. Had to go.
he's not in the UFC. You're a Zuffa zombie now.
Oh yeah, I'm a Zufa nut hugger. What did he do in the Risen tournament? That was back in like 2015 or 2016. Really, there's only one show in 2015, Risen. Right? He must have been there early because he hasn't been around. Oh no! Oh my god. Um, he did fight in Risen very recently too. He fought in the second round of the recent this UFC card. I watched him fight. I totally space cadetted. He fought that Brazilian dude who I forgot about. So yeah, maybe it'll be fun. And bye, Nicholas. You've gone away. You decided to turn off your microphone and turn off your video in the middle of the live broadcast. Congratulations. Well done. So we can go back to discussing how I just remembered that Vadim Nemnikov knocked out some Brazilian dude whose name I forgot. But let's move on to talk about some other things that are happening in the Paramount Network's Bellator Heavyweight Grand Prix tournament, Nelson Mitrione 2. Also, the return of Heather Hardy. And what's really interesting about her matchup is she's going to be fighting Anna Julaton. Excuse me, I don't really follow boxing, so I don't know her too well. But they're going to fight an MMA fight, and then they're going to have a boxing fight later on in the year, which I think is fantastic. It's like you could say it's gimmicky and whatever, and you could be a little bitch about it. But I think, women's boxing in particular and women's MMA in Bellator definitely needs a hook. It needs something that will, kind of get fans involved and kind of just be a unique thing that people can kind of perk up their ears and say, hey, that's kind of cool. It's happening in Mohegan Sun. If I didn't have things going on this weekend, I would maybe make the trek up there. It'd be kind of awesome to play a bunch of poker and then watch Bellator and Matt Mitrione. And I bet you I could have got credentialed. Fuck. I'm really kicking myself now. I wonder if I could cancel all my plans just to go to Bellator. It's a kind of a degenerate thing to do, but it would also be kind of awesome. Yeah, sir. So Bellator, prelims will be a bunch of slaughterings and your typical shit. But the top 4 fights of that card, the televised portion, all seem to have something interesting, some interesting hook there. And little Nicholas is back. Took a little hiatus.
Am I right?
Yeah, I guess so, right? What happened? Did you have to go take a piss?
I did. Badly.
Oh, okay, good. I'm glad. Thanks for giving me no warning.
I give you a little bit of warning.
Yeah, but if I don't have the chat up, it just comes up as a blob, and then you wrote 3 things after it, so I didn't even finish reading it until you left. But anyway,
I realized in hindsight it would have been interesting if you were on a completely different page, like looking at Kaposa's website. Or
I was basically, because I was like, what else is happening? I talked about Heather Hardy and her fight, that MMA fight, and then they're gonna have a boxing fight later, deal, which is kind of cool. But you ready for Gets It Doesn't Get It now that you've urinated?
I thought you had gone through that, but okay, you waited for me. That's good.
No, I like keeping you around. I mean, there's no dumb questions today, so it's just Gets It Doesn't Get It.
There are.
Oh, they came through. Hey,
they did. The fans came through.
Hey, the fans. We love you, fans. All right, first Gets It Doesn't Get It goes to Curtis Blades for entertaining signing with Bellator after his contract expires with the UFC. Nicholas,
which is after one more fight.
One more fight. Does he get it or does he not get it?
Oh, he absolutely gets it. Not just because Bellator is a good promotion to fight for, typically for most fans, or according to most fans, but because he's entertaining offers. It could be ACB, it could be Ryzen, it could be Bellator, it could be PFL, but it doesn't matter. It's the fact that he is considering moving on from just the UFC. It's not forward thinking anymore. It's not UFC is the only place to be. There are other options, and he is realizing realizing this, and I think that's good. So he gets it.
Yeah, and also, I like that it's not He said it with the right idea too. He said he's like, I'd prefer to stay with the UFC, which is like the smart political thing to say for contract negotiation purposes. He's like, but I'm entertaining offers. That's just how to maximize your career. And he's a heavyweight. You know, there's money out there to be spent on heavyweights. So smart to Curtis Blades, smart on you, Nicholas, for getting it. You both get it for now. You get it for now. He gets it for a little bit longer. Next up, gets it, doesn't get it. Mr. Ben Askren for saying he would fight GSP in late 2019.
Well, it's kind of back and forth because does he get it? Yeah, because it's keeping him sort of relevant, at least in the news. Like it's keeping him in the headlines when he's retired. And so that's always good to do. But will the fight actually happen? Probably not.
Cool. Yeah, I don't think the fight will happen too. But yeah, it's a fun way to stay relevant and in the news. I would love to see Askren fight in the UFC, do some crazy shit. And if he fought GSP, I think that would be incredible. I think that would be awesome. But the UFC is too scared to do fun shit. Next up, Tyron Woodley for crapping on Dana White for calling him a liar. He went on the MMA Hour and just put Dana White on blast, even though Dana White, you know, puts everyone on blast. It's newsworthy when a fighter actually does it back to him. Nicholas, does the welterweight champion, Tyron Woodley, get it or not get it?
Well, it's newsworthy no matter what, but especially when it's a UFC welterweight, when it's a UFC champion. And so Tyron Woodley gets it. I love when fighters talk crap about Dana White. It makes me feel good inside. And so Tyron Woodley, you get it. Because your point is valid too.
Yep. I think he gets it as well because even if this is contrived and like a fake thing, the wrestling marks, the WWE professional wrestling marks eat this kind of shit up all the time. They think that this drama, hating my employee, that reads just like a script straight out of WWE. So yeah, good on you, Tyron Woodley. If you don't have a rival in the cage, make your rival Dana White. It worked for Tito Ortiz. It worked for nearly every goddamn star in the UFC. So why can't it work for you? Next gets it, doesn't get it, goes to your boy Elias Theodoro for wanting to become a ring card boy.
Not just wanting to, but he did.
He signed the contract with Invicta. Or was it with Invicta?
Well, he hasn't. It's in the works. He hasn't signed on with Invicta officially yet. That's the plan, but he did some local show in Montreal 2 weeks ago.
Oh, he did? Okay. Is there footage?
Pictures, go look at the pictures.
I'm Googling, man. I am Googling. So does he get it or does he not get it? You've seen the pictures.
I think he gets it. I think he gets it, not because it's the best idea in the world, but because he is expanding his brand again. Elias Theodoro will never be a UFC champion, but he knows how to sell himself as a person, and that just helps his fighting career. That gives him more leverage and makes him more popular. Like he's been in movies. He has that really seems like a lucrative sponsorship deal with Pert Plus, I think it is, the hair, the shampoo company or something like that.
Pert Plus, it's a major brand.
I hadn't heard of it before.
You never wash your hair, so
no, it's Canada. We don't get. I
just
guess
take a bar of soap and lather your head with it.
Yeah. How did you know, Andrew Lawrence?
I read your mind on that. You know what? I'm looking at the photos right now. My big problem with it is that homeboy's wearing a fucking shirt and like
you read
shorts.
The article I wrote. Next time he won't be.
Well, yeah, but next time's not good enough, dude. Get your ass in. If you were a ring card girl, I would have fired your ass. If you're like, I'm not putting on the bikini, you're fired, hon. So same standards apply. This is all about equality. Goddamn it, Elias Theodore. We want to see some bare-chested men.
I assume you supported the half-naked ring girls at Gender Wars. Was that something you were in favor of?
Oh my god! You know what? I never ended up watching Gender Wars because I'm bad. I shouldn't have. Okay, good. Were there like what?
No, I didn't watch, but like it ended. It ended up being like bad, not like bad funny. That's what I heard, anyways.
Shocker! And it happened in like Minnesota. They were just saying Russia to throw people off the scent. Hilarious. Yeah. Ultimate MMA moves, but Elias Theodoro, it's all about keeping yourself relevant, and he's got guys not really ever going to contend for the title, and I think he realizes that, but like he's still interested in challenging himself. He's a smart guy, and I think he gets kind of where he is in the game. So yeah, dude gets it. Last gets it, doesn't get it. You ready for it, Mr. One, Raging Cajun Johnson, for shitting on the EA UFC 3 lack of payment for the EA UFC 3 video game. What do you think? You think our boy Cajun gets it or doesn't get it?
I mean, again, kind of going back to Woodley on Dana White. Anytime a UFC fighter shits on any UFC product, whether it's a video game, whether it's Dana White, whether it's any UFC thing, it's typically good. And I think obviously it's not just from his heart, and it's not a BS argument. Like Cajun Johnson has a good point here. The fighters should be getting paid from video games and where their likeness are featured, and so. I think going out and talking about it publicly, I think it's a good thing. There's nothing bad that can really. I mean, there is bad things that can come from it. He could get cut from the UFC and lose his job, but he's made it very clear over time that he's not concerned about that, and so it's all good. Speaking out against things that shouldn't happen.
Well, here's my thing on the EA video game thing. One, is he even in the video game?
No.
Well, dog.
He's standing up for his fellow fighters.
My eyes can't roll back any further. Then get a fighter who's in the video game to make the point. I don't know. I feel like that's what like
Cajun Johnson also can change things. I'm just saying it's good that he's.
I'm saying don't sign off your likeness rights entirely for no money. That's a stupid thing to do. But your likeness
that basically means they don't get signed by the UFC. Fighters without a union have zero leverage. They can't just say, I don't want this in my contract.
See, that's where you're wrong. The fighters maintain the rights to their likeness. What they sign off for the UFC is the rights to their likeness for the purpose of advertising for fights, right? That it makes sense. Yeah. The UFC gains the rights to take and make posters. Yeah. Any merchandise that the UFC makes featuring them is a 50-50 split between them, whatever the UFC takes in, and they get their likeness rights for video games and other like media. So, and they get that in perpetuity, but not in exclusivity, meaning that the UFC could take Brock Lesnar's right. Look, and Brock Lesnar video might be funky, so maybe we should use another example. They could take Mark Hunt and put him in a video game for the rest of their life. They could take Randy, all these people for the rest of their life, but there's nothing stopping them from, once they leave the UFC, to then have themselves as a part of a Bellator video game or a Randy Couture video game or whatever the fuck they would want to make. A guy like Grady Cajun Johnson, he's not going to end up having any video game made out of him. So he's lucky to get any kind of piece of the pie he makes off video game money, especially video games he's not in. So the fact that he didn't get any, well, I'm not shocked. But the fighters who were featured in it and were on the front cover and were promoting it heavily, I wouldn't be shocked if they got paid. I would actually I'd bet cold hard real money that they did get paid some amount. I know that the guys got like $300 or something. That was like the laughable joke that Roy Nelson said he got paid when he was in the UFC video game, got paid $300. So, but then again, Roy Nelson ain't making a video game. So there you go.
As far as I know, all they get is a free copy. So, I mean,
y'all got a free copy?
If they promoted it, if they sent out like an Instagram post or a Twitter post about it.
I think that's worth it for a free video game. Shit, especially when you're not in. But I get it as an overall concept. But on this one, I think that the messenger could have been a little better. So doesn't get it.
The only thing I'll say is that the messenger had to be not ideal because no one else was willing to. So
fair point.
So I guess dumb questions.
Dumb questions.
First one comes from good friend, fan of the show and other shows, Liam Hughes. He says,
thanks for enjoying shows, Liam.
Why hasn't Andrew mentioned sumo in ages?
Oh my God, yeah. Well, okay. You want a quick breakdown of what's happening in sumo? So the era of the 4 Yokozuna is over, right? The 4 Yokozuna era that was ushered in with Kasuna Sato becoming the 4th and the first Japanese Yokozuna in decades. And that excitement that we had about seeing 4 competitive Yokozuna, and it was never really realized. What ended up happening, interestingly enough, is Hanuma Fuji, fascinating story, got into a lot of trouble for beating the shit out of a fellow wrestler, beat the fucking piss out of him when they were hanging out at a bar. He wasn't drunk, but he insulted him, and then he was scolding him for being insulting. And the other wrestler, while he was being scolded, picked up his cell phone to text his girlfriend because his girlfriend was texting him, and that was a bridge too far for Hanamafuji, who's from the old school. When your elders are talking to you, and especially a Yokozuna, you don't pick up your cell phone to talk it. So he starts pummeling him and starts whacking him in the face. Apparently, it wasn't that big a deal, but it snowballed out of control, and eventually it ended up with him having to resign as the Yokozuna. So now we're at 3 Yokozunas, 2 of which. Casino Santo's been so injured recently that it's like a goddamn nightmare. He hasn't finished a tournament in nearly a half a year. If he doesn't come and start in his next tournament and finish the whole tournament, they're going to pull him and make him retire as a Yokozuna. Hakuho remains a fucking legend. Kakaru came back out of being injured from all of last year. He's back on the winning trail. And now there's a whole new young generation of sumo wrestlers coming up. It's exciting. It's new. A Georgian wrestler by the name of Tochinoshin just won the last January tournament. He's fantastic. There's a lot of great things happening in sumo. I'm really excited for the March Ba show to come up. You can see I at least publish 3 articles for every tournament that happens. Tournaments happen every other month, so there's 6 tournaments a year. So look out for those on middleeasy.com.
And there is your monthly sumo talk from Andrew the Clown Kid Lawrence.
Os.
Flying Brian J, the one and only
King
Flying Brian J himself. He says, what kind of shampoo does Nick use? To answer your question, I do shower. I do wash my hair. I just don't use a bar of soap. I don't use Pert Plus. Sorry, Elias Diodoro. I use Dial, usually.
Oh, Dial makes shampoo?
I believe so. Well, I know so because I use it.
Dial soap is so poor to me that I wouldn't ever consider using a Dial product.
Why is that?
It dries out my skin. Like overly harsh.
Maybe it's made better in Canada.
Maybe you just have like ripped raw skin from being in the Winnipeg cold, and like the wind just like bleeds all your skin off you anyway. So you're just like, yeah, I'm cool with just like, this is normal to me.
Yeah, or Canada just has terrible shampoo, and so Dial's like the best in Canada, but the worst in the US, and I just sort of accept it.
I fucked around with like the shower gel. You know, like sometimes in liquid form, but it's not for your hair. You're aware of this?
A little bit.
Yeah. Okay. So I've messed around with that because at the boxing gym, I think they fill the dispenser with Dial. So I'll retract my that Dial's complete garbage has been retracted. It's just like lower level soap, clearly.
Just Bleed MMA on the Twitter at Just Bleed MMA. He says, do you think Ronda Rousey would do better against Charlotte or Alexa Bliss? Well, I don't know what that means.
Fuck you. You know what you're doing. And you're talking wrestling. You're trying to slip in some wrestling talk. And you know we're not going to talk that shit. I don't give a fuck that Ronda Rousey is doing anything in WWE. You can't make me.
Last one. Mitch Bonolos at ruthless_MJB on Twitter. He says, who wins, CM Punk or Floyd Mayweather in an MMA match?
Man, this is a tough one. I'm going to go with Floyd. I'm going to go with Floyd Mayweather. The understanding of distance. And it's like, so what's CM Punk going to do? Like panic, rush a takedown? I think that Floyd can exploit that.
Probably. Probably.
Floyd's a lot smaller, though.
Well, that's the thing. Like, CM Punk is a 170-pounder. Floyd...
He's a small 170-pounder. He probably should cut to 155.
Floyd hasn't... Most of his career was
Floyd would bulk up to 155 to fight bigger dudes. He's like he's probably a natural boxer, like one of the 30 pounds. I think like 137 is a... I
want to say more like 147. Because, yeah,
later
the
on
McGregor fight at 154 wasn't like...
But that was to help out. But that was to help out. That was to help out Connor. And Floyd knew he was going to win it anyway, so who gives a shit? I feel like Floyd early in his career, like in the prime before like the money era started, when he actually fought competitive fights, it was like an interesting fighter to follow.
When he was a prospect,
not even just a prospect, when he was like an early champion, building his name before he started fighting for fights. I think he fought in like that. I don't know, like what's like super lightweight. I remember he fought Arturo Gatti for the super lightweight title. What's that? Super lightweight. I don't fucking know. How much is super lightweight, guys? Someone in out in
it
the
doesn't matter. Probably like 162.5 or something.
No, it's not even close. So the weight classes are all messed up in boxing. It has no relationship to what is going on in the UFC.
Okay, last thing. Flying Brian J just asked, who wins between Romero and Mark Hunt?
That is a tough man. That is a good question.
The soldier of God.
I want to give it to him, man. At this point, nah, you can't deny it. There's too many fundamental holes in Yoel Romero's game, and Mark Hunt has too much power. But he could just blast double leg Mark every time and do the Curtis Blades
Romero wins that fight. He would be 3-1 a favorite to me.
Okay, maybe.
Well, let's end it on Soldier of God maybe beating a heavyweight contender. That's how much.
Super lightweight, 140 pounds.
Oh wow, really?
I told you he's a very light fighter.
Okay. All right, that's it for episode 150 of the MMA Circus. Thank you all for watching and listening, whatever you're doing. Thank you very much. We appreciate it. You can find the MMA Circus on iTunes, Stitcher, Pocket Cast, Google Play, SoundCloud, here on YouTube, TuneIn, Player FM, Overcast, Podcast Addict, and I think that's it. Obviously, thank you to Bloody Elbow for presenting the podcast each and every week. Please give this video, if you're watching on YouTube, live or the replay, give us a thumbs up down there. Subscribe to the channel if you aren't already down there, and drop a comment in the comment section down below if you have any feedback, whether or not you love the show, hated the show, or you're somewhere in the middle. We'd love to hear from you.
Yeah, definitely say mean things about Nick in the comment section.
Compliment, disgusting, hatred for us. Anything goes. It's
just
YouTube
for Nick. I only
section.
want positive comments about me, but shit on Nick all day.
I love it. All right, Andrew. They all know where to find you, but if there's any stragglers, let them know.
MiddleEasy.com, on Twitter, @TheClownKid. You spell all 3 of those English words correct, you get access to the best tweets in MMA. Boom.
You guys can find me on the Twitter @Nick Baldwin MMA. You can find all of my writing over at BloodyElbow.com. I've had a few interview pieces dropped over the past week or so. More to come. I talked to Jake Matthews after his win over Li Jingliang yesterday. I talked to Leslie Smith all about the effort to organize fighters just an hour or two ago. If you're listening to this live, those will be up most likely tomorrow on this YouTube channel and in written form soon after. That's pretty much it, I think. My other shows, Beyond Combat, Before the Battle, and most recently, I've started doing a post-fight show with Jed Meshew called the Post-Fight Wrap-Up. So we'll be live right after UFC Austin on Sunday night. Beyond Combat is off this week. Before the Battle will be live on Thursday, episode 100. We are celebrating in a big way. We're bringing all the old Before the Battle hosts back. So it's going to be all on one show. It's going to be me, Jed Meshew, Wesley Riddle, Daniel Levy, Go Paulo, and Mike Biggie Rhodes. Tune into that. Shit. It's going to be crazy. Seriously. And so that's going to be interesting. So thank you all for watching.
I won't be on that show.
What's that?
I won't be on that show. So enjoy that as well.
Yes. Yeah. If you like Andrew, maybe don't tune in. But if you don't, that's the show for you. Thank you all for watching. For Andrew the Clown Kid Lawrence, my name's Nick Baldwin, and we're out.
What up, Sherry?